Sponsored by Salud Beer Shop, located at 3306 North Davidson Street in the NoDa District of Charlotte. Check out their huge selection of craft beer in bottles, cans, and growlers, and see what's on tap in the tasting room. Salud Beer Shop. Drink real beer.
Hi, I'm Glenn. This is Dave. We're the NC Beer Guys. We drink beer produced here in North Carolina, provide our opinions to them here on our weblog, also on our website, ncbeerguys.com. Remember, drink local and keep your beer dollars North Carolina. We've got a special treat today.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to drink the Mother Shucker.
Mother Shucker!
And I'll say that wrong before this is over, I'm sure. The Mother Shucker Oyster Stout, which is an annual collaboration from the Front Street Brewery in Wilmington and the NoDa Brewing Company in Charlotte. This stout was released in April in celebration of NC Beer Month and brings us flavors for the new season. The Mother Shucker Oyster Stout is described as, quote, a unique dry stout with a coastal twist, fresh local oysters. Adding shells into the mash and meat into the boil creates a creamy, fuller body with a subtle, savory, briny character at 6.6%.
Even better.
I'll interject here. You see our generic bottles. This is not a bottled beer.
Yes.
It's served on tap at Front Street and NoDa.
This is love from Front Street.
But Kevin was kind enough to bottle us up some in some bombers and get them up to us. And he said, we saw him a while back at a beer event. He said, you got to try the Mother Shucker this year because we missed it last year. We were glad to do that, and we certainly appreciate him shipping us, generously shipping us the Mother Shucker. And we're going to see today what we think of it. So the two breweries developed an oyster stout, and they call this a salty dark beer. After Front Street Brewmaster Kevin Kozak reached out to NoDa, they agreed to partner and use the Stump Sound Oysters from Eagle Island Fruit and Seafood to help in the process. So the process itself is pretty interesting for making this beer and consisted of shucking the oysters, removing the meat, and then cleaning the shells with the high-pressured water system. They use the shells in the mash for the sparging, and we know you guys know what sparging is, so I don't have to tell you that part. It's on the website. After the liquid is placed in the kettle to boil, then the oyster meat is placed into the bag, and the bag is dropped into the kettle for the last 15 minutes of the boiling process. So this is both
boost the flavor,
oyster shells and the meat in the boil, and
those oysters have to be so freaking good to eat afterwards.
And the Front Street marketing manager says this gives off some of the notes and flavors from the oysters, the roasted, toasted flavor from the malt, and the oyster shell flavor create this dark, briny beer.
I have to find out when they're doing this again next year to make sure that I'm there.
That would be neat
because
to see that.
I mean, really,
they go to Charlotte to brew it.
To have the oysters in that boil,
that would be
and
neat.
then eating it. Oh my God, that is got to be a party. So big.
We've had an oyster stout somewhere along the way. I don't think it was a North Carolina beer. I think it was early in our drinking days, probably pre-Beer Guys.
How about the Oyster House in Asheville?
I don't know that we've had their oyster stout though.
We did.
Did we?
Long time ago.
Long time ago. I won't say that was the one that I'm getting ready to reference, but one I had somewhere along the way was just too much reminiscent of an oyster in a beer for me. I love oysters and I love beer, but somehow that match didn't work. So, gosh, look at the head and the thickness, the richness. That richness on this,
look at that.
This is like the head would stand up on the table if you poured it by itself. It's so nice.
That is gorgeous. Yes.
Now
realize this is limited. So wherever you see it, if you're out in Wilmington or you're in Charlotte,
you won't see it except at Front Street Brewery on Front Street in Wilmington and NoDa.
Okay.
I don't think it's at any accounts because there's not enough of it to really put out that I understand. In fact, NoDa doesn't even sell growlers of it.
Okay.
So I don't know about Front Street.
Okay. So then basically, if you're in Charlotte or Wilmington, get down.
Get
to
down.
those locations.
Get down and get some
have
oysters.
some of this. Well, let's check it out and see how it is. It's got a malty aroma.
But it smells kind of like any other stout in that sense.
Yes.
The roasty strongness of the stout's coming through, but I don't get any oystery taste, aroma.
It's a stout.
But there's something going on that is not your typical stout.
No, not normal. Mother Shucker, what are you talking about?
Well, I don't know if I didn't know what I was drinking. I'm wondering if I would recognize it as salt, brine, oystery.
Right.
I don't really recognize that as
funny.
the flavor I'm getting.
I'm getting it on my mustache. Salty flavor. I am.
And
Seconds.
the other thing we would suggest is, like with a lot of stouts, and we did this today,
Make sure.
let it warm up a little bit. Your flavors will come up much more prominent, and we wanted to particularly make sure that we got the full flavor effect from this brew. So we let it not come to room temperature.
But you know what? We don't have it in a stout glass, so we're gonna have to have it the next time.
Right. Dave's found a new glass he wants to buy, so he's gonna be looking forward to Father's Day. He said.
With a stout glass. But yes, you definitely have to let stouts and porters warm up a little bit, because that will give you all the flavor that it's meant to have.
I think, it's hard for me to know after, again, when you read the description, you can't help but be influenced by then drinking the beer. Do you find the flavor notes because you know you're supposed to? Because now I feel like I do get some of the brininess in this stout.
I got it in my mustache.
Okay. Which could have been mustache leftover or something, but it might be in the beer.
It's like you said, I don't know if I'm picking up, I would say saltiness, if that's what the brininess is going to be. It's a nice, easy drinking stout.
It's delicious.
With something extra.
I will say, if you're concerned about the other end of the spectrum, it being too salty, too oystery.
No.
If you're concerned that it's going to taste like liquid oysters.
No.
It does not that at all. No. It is a wonderful, deep, roasty, malty stout with something else going on that we know from being told what it is, that it's the brine, oyster, something, the something.
Well, but it also realize
the creaminess is amazing to me. Still the head on this thing is just...
Yep. You've got Front Street and NoDa as a collaboration. Really? That's got to be awesome right there.
It's kind of hard to go wrong.
No, and it didn't go wrong. I can drink this.
I was impressed at the presentation of this beer.
Look at that.
As I am with the beer.
The head retention is amazing.
I don't know how long it'll be around either, because like I said, they just released it in April, and I don't expect it's going to last long in any place. It's so unique, it's going to be appealing to the average drinker for just the novelty of it.
You'll have to hit us up for some of these bombers.
That's right. We might put some of these bombers away and see how long we can market these things.
Yum.
Again, we appreciate that NoDa and Front Street are working together. Collaborations are wonderful things and certainly not uncommon in the beer community.
Yep.
And we certainly appreciate Kevin out of Front Street making sure we had our hands on this beer, and he was very generous in what he sent, and he didn't have to do that. So thank you, Kevin, and we love your beer. And of course, we like the guys at NoDa, so we could not have gone wrong with this, hardly.
Yep.
Until next time, remember, drink local. Keep your beer dollars North Carolina, particularly today, Wilmington and Charlotte.
Yep.
And until next time, we'll catch you later, guys.